It's funny. Like a minute ago, Karen called me and tried to tell me stuff I already knew about, how stupid you guys are. And I was like, yeah, I know. She's like, make sure you point that out. Not how stupid you are, but how stupid everybody is. And I was like, yeah, I know. I've been telling everybody for years everybody's an idiot. And then people are finally catching on. Yeah. So last night between 3 and 4 a.m., I was watching Naroditsky's stream. I went to sleep at like 11:30, and I woke up at 2:30. I couldn't sleep. So I was watching Naroditsky's stream, and he was playing 30-second chess with Fallujah on Lee Chess. And they were playing so well that I reported them to chess.com, even though they were playing on Lee Chess. That's how well they were playing. And they played first to 50. Danya won 50 to 42. Maybe there was 50 and a half to 42 and a half. He won by 8. And some guy in the chat was like, man, these guys play better at 30-second chess than I do in slow chess. And I didn't say anything, but I was thinking to myself, they play way better than you. They don't play better than you. They play way better than you. Like way better. Like not better, way better. I mean, they play like almost perfect in 30-second chess. They have great mating technique when they're mating, and they see all the tactics. They pre-see all the tactics. It's crazy how good they play. Now, they're definitely top 5 in the world in 30-second chess online, and they might be 1 and 2. But just to be on the safe side, I'm going to say they're top 5. If you've never seen Naroditsky play 30-second chess on his stream, usually it's pretty late. You should do it at least once if you've never seen it. It's like when God has a gun. It's like when Hans Niemann has a gun. I mean, that's how good it is. Yeah. Etc. Okay, so first of all, there's the new drama, which isn't new, that Dlugy cheated online and Dlugy coaches Niemann. So that's the new thing on Twitter now. And what's funny about that is I've known Dlugy for 40 years. God damn. We played in 1984 in the U.S. Junior Championship. That might be the first time I met him, but maybe it's not. Maybe I met him in 83 in Ohio at some tournament. I think I did. And I've played blitz chess with Maxime in real life and over the board chess forever. And he sort of dropped out of chess for a while. Actually, when Magnus made the Dlugy comment insinuating Dlugy's a cheater, therefore you're a cheater, I didn't know that Dlugy had worked with Hans. It's not surprising they're both from New York. So, yeah. Anyway, that's not really news that Dlugy cheated. Like, they leaked these emails, which is very strange. I mean, those emails can't be leaked normally unless Dlugy gave permission. And I've never heard of chess.com leaking confidential emails before. So it's possible that Dlugy gave permission. I don't know. If Dlugy didn't give permission, it's weird. That's strange. But I don't know if he gave permission. So I don't know. Right, exactly. The only thing that makes any sense to me is Dlugy gave permission. Now, if I was Dlugy, I wouldn't give permission. So, it could be a quid pro quo. Now, I'm just talking shit here because I don't know. I'm making shit up. But it could be they said, hey, Max, we want to leak your emails, and we're going to, thanks Chess Dojo Live for rating me. Somebody give them a shout out. And maybe they said, and quid pro quo, we'll give you another account on chess.com. I don't know. But if Dlugy didn't give permission, I don't understand why chess.com leaked the emails that seem confidential. And not only do they seem confidential, it seemed like chess.com told Dlugy they'd be confidential. So I don't know. That's weird. Now, what's not weird is Dlugy cheated on chess.com. That's just common knowledge. That nothing happened today to change my mind about Dlugy. I knew he cheated on chess.com. That's, Now, first of all, I have to be a little bit careful about what I say, because even though I present myself as a doofus and as somebody stirring the pot and somebody who's trolling, it's not actually true. A lot of times when you think I'm trolling, I'm not. I just say what I think is true. And the other thing is, I know more stuff than I'm allowed to say. So I avoid saying that. And if I don't avoid saying that, I'm going to get an email or a phone call from Danny Wrench. And I haven't gotten one yet, so I don't think I've done anything wrong yet. And I don't plan on doing anything wrong. But basically, chess.com and Danny Wrench and me and Karen are like, that son. We're allowed to say we were brought in, I don't know, 2 years ago? I don't know. And we know the cheating detection methods. We don't understand them because we're not PhDs in statistics. Because we're very, very, very trusted. Okay? If there's two people who don't cheat online, it's me and Karen. Right? They're like, God damn, you guys suck. They're like, we've never seen people who we knew didn't cheat more. We can't even believe it. In fact, Danny requested I cheat a little bit. He's like, you're a grandmaster. This is embarrassing for our site. So even though I don't necessarily get along with chess.com and everything or Danny Wrench, you know, there's a serious side to me and Karen, and there's a non-cheating side to us. We don't cheat. And they would like grandmasters and famous people and people who are well-known in the chess community who have a 0% chance of cheating, me and Karen, to understand the ways they catch cheaters and even make suggestions and understand that when chess.com kicks somebody off, especially when they're a grandmaster, that they're cheating. So in my mind, when chess.com bans Hans Niemann for cheating on chess.com and or they ban Dlugy for cheating online, I believe that they were cheating online based on my understanding of the situation. And we have information that we're not allowed to tell you about, other people who are cheating. Okay. So I'm actually not as dumb as I appear to be on my tweets. I stir the pot because I want people to watch my channel. But I don't say things that I know are blatantly false. I might say things that are funny. But I understand that Lee Chess and chess.com and ICC have very advanced cheat detection. Now, what I want to say is the things that Fabi is doing with Karilla and the thing that Naroditsky did last night at 3 a.m, that's 1,000,000% meaningless. That's not how you catch cheaters. And Naroditsky doesn't understand that. Naroditsky's like, it's 3:30 a.m, let's boot up Stockfish 14 with a random search, and let's look at Hans's games from 2.5 years ago. That move looks a little strange to me. It takes years to get a PhD in math or something else complicated. You don't find out people are cheating by booting up a random engine at 3:30 a.m. and having the engine look at the moves for 3 seconds from games that were played 2 or 3 years ago. That means zero. But Naroditsky believes it's very important. He thinks the work that he and Fabi and Hikaru are doing has some meaning. And I couldn't convince him otherwise because obviously I talk a lot, but if I'm laying in bed at 3:30 in on my phone, I can't really get across any of my points. I'm typing like no. I mean, yeah. Now I will, it's very good content. I love watching Fabi analyze and give his opinion. Not for cheating, just like, this is a move I would consider. This is a normal move. This is the only move. I would have also considered this. That's great. I love watching that. Okay? And I love seeing how well the people play when they're winning. If you cherry pick games that people win, they play better than when they lose. If you would like, I'm not going to do it, but if you'd like, I can pick out 10 games I played in the last 15 years, and you'll think I was cheating. Okay, on the other hand, I can pick out 10 games I played in the last 15 years, and you won't believe I'm a grandmaster. You'll be like, that guy's the worst. What the hell? So obviously, if you look at Hans's best games over a period of 200 games and pick out 10, those will be pretty good games. And that's not how you find out if somebody's cheating. That's just looking at somebody's games. That's got nothing to do. And when they say like, ooh, he played the first or second best move of this random engine I'm using. That's not how chess.com, that's not how Lead Chess, that's not how ICC gets cheaters. That's how people like you think your opponent's cheating. If you're some random person at home and you do the cap score has nothing to do with whether your opponent's cheating. They don't use that. That's just for you to baby you. So you can say, I played 98%. If you play 98% every game, then give me a call. When you play 98% against a 600 player, and then you lose 30 games in a row against a 2400, that's how good you are. You're a guy who loses 30 games in a row. Okay? That's just for you for fun. So a lot of the tools that are being used are good analysis tools for yourself, and they're good for fun, but they're not a way to catch somebody cheating. And the chess engines, the chess sites don't do that. And these videos that are made are all nonsense. They're nonsense. They have nothing to do with catching somebody cheating. It's just to trick you into thinking it does. I could go on the internet right now. I could go to Twitter right now. I could do it right now and say, I've looked at Hans's games in the last 2 years. In 20 of those games, he played 99 or 100% engine moves. I know he's a cheater. And 80% of the internet would believe me, even though I didn't do that. I could just say I did it. And then they'll be like, wow, Ben Feingold says Hans cheated, and before he said he didn't. So, and he plays, and then the 100%, 99% nonsense that I made up will spread all over the internet. And people will argue, it's been shown that Hans plays 100% every game. That hasn't been shown. That's just what random people making random videos are saying. And that none of the chess sites, chess.com, ICC, Lead Chess, any other site, they don't use whatever methodology is being used by random people to prove somebody's cheating. And what Fabi and Kirilla did and what Danya did is just fun. But Danya, unfortunately, thinks that his work is serious and can catch cheaters. His 3:30 in the morning looking at the engine move after 4 seconds and making some pronouncement like, that's a funny move, I wouldn't have made that move, and the engine says it's the best. This is very suspicious. Okay, that's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. And the nonsense spreads. So if you have 3 random people who you've never heard of, and you never heard of this woman before, the woman who made the 100% Hans video, you've never heard of her. And she said, Hans played 100% all these games, he's cheating. And you guys are like, okay, there's the evidence. And it's just silliness. Now, having said all of that, I'm not passing judgment personally on whether Hans is cheated or not, because I don't know. And I'll tell you this, to me, it's almost 100% that Hans has cheated online more than he said he has. I agree with that. He said I cheated once when I was 13, once when I was 16. Yeah, I don't believe that. And the fact that he was coached by a guy who cheats, every kid in the world who's over 2,200, who's between 11 and 17 years old, who has cheated, a lot of them have been coached by people who have cheated. People cheat online all the time. There's a lot of cheating online. And I know more about it than you do because I've been taken into the cave and shown stuff. Okay? And I already suspect everybody I play is cheating. And this is the reason I don't play Entitled Tuesday or Arena Kings. One is I'm asleep. That's the main reason. The other is I would be very upset at playing somebody who's cheating. If I'm playing in a tournament that has prizes and 1,000 people are watching me on stream, I don't want to play somebody who's cheating. So to me, when you play in a tournament that's like Title Tuesday or Arena Kings, you're going to play cheaters. And I don't like playing cheaters. It's like a guarantee you're going to play cheaters. I don't want to play cheaters. So I understand Magnus thinking Hans is a cheater. I don't want to play cheaters. I understand that. And I understand why Magnus thinks Hans cheated. I understand that too. What I don't understand is why he withdrew from the Sinkfield Cup. He already played Hans. Hans may or may not have cheated that game. I don't think he did. I think most Super Grandmasters agree Hans didn't cheat in the Sinkfield Cup. And the fact that he may have cheated before in these GM norm tournaments or these blitz tournaments or Title Tuesday or whatever, I mean, Magnus already knew that before he played him in the Sinkfield Cup. So then losing to him and feeling he cheated, there's 6 more games to go, and those guys don't cheat. So why not play? That's what we want to see. And then I think what Magnus should have done, instead of playing in that tournament where he crushed everybody, the online tournament, he should have said, I feel like there may be a player in this tournament who's unethical. I don't want to play in this tournament. That way he's sort of calling Hans a cheater without naming him, and he's refusing to play him, instead of like sort of ruining the tournament. So I don't like the way Magnus has handled the situation, but I do believe in Magnus's head, it's between 95 and 100% that Hans cheated against him in the Sinkfield Cup. And I think it's less than 50%. I think it's way less. And I think it's 100% that Hans has cheated online. Hans has cheated online more than he says he has. And if I had to make a wager, if I had to make a wager, he's probably cheated over the board. But not in the Sinkfield Cup. That game didn't show any instance of cheating to me. That didn't show anything. If you told me Hans has cheated over the board, I would say, yeah, maybe. If you told me Hans has cheated online, I would say, yep. And one of the things that Magnus said, which I agree with, is Hans has cheated more often, more frequently than he said. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. But the news today wasn't really news to me, that Dlugy was cheating and kicked off chess.com. I already knew that. That's public knowledge. The thing that wasn't knowledge are the emails where Dlugy acknowledges it. That doesn't bring it more likely to me. Once Dlugy's kicked off of chess.com, since I believe in chess.com's methods, when they kick off a grandmaster, I'm already done. I'm already like, yeah, Dlugy's cheating. I didn't know Dlugy worked with Hans, which is funny. That's funny. However, I don't believe Dlugy has ever cheated over the board ever. I mean, Dlugy was a strong grandmaster when he was 18. And we didn't have computers then. Dlugy came like 3rd in the U.S. championship when he was 19 years old. Dlugy's good. I mean, Dlugy's my age. Dlugy's older than me, so he's not good now, but yeah. So I don't think Dlugy's ever cheated over the board or even thought about it. And saying Dlugy cheated online, therefore Hans Niemann cheated in the Sinkfield Cup, there's no relation. And finding people that cheated online, we're going to keep finding them because there's a lot of them, and a lot of them are grandmasters. A lot of them are strong grandmasters. And if you watch me play on stream, you know that I'm not cheating because I don't want to lose my channel. I don't want to get kicked off chess.com. I have no reason to cheat, and I play like an idiot. And I don't even know it's my turn half the time. I'm like, and I give my queen away for free for no reason. Like, it's obvious I'm not cheating. So even if I win like 20 games in a row, nobody bats an eye because I play so terrible. Now, let me give you some funny things to think about. I play terrible when I play online. You've seen me. I don't know it's my turn half the time. I play really slowly. I blunder a lot, right? You get all that. And I'm 27-25. So you can imagine how, like, by not being an idiot like me, by being 20 years old and paying attention and not hanging pieces and knowing modern theory and being a strong grandmaster, why Magnus and Hikaru and Naroditsky are all 31, 3,200, because you could see it would be very easy to be 400, 500 points higher than me based on my, I'm no good. But over the board, it's much more difficult to cheat than online. Online, everybody's cheating. Over the board, less people are cheating. They're cheating, but not at the rate of online. Not like online. And the online people don't think they're going to get caught. And maybe some of them don't. But everybody who cheats online thinks like I'm playing here, there's nobody here. I got my computer here, I got this going on. I mean, when you're no good and you play good, you're probably cheating. And that's why what's going on now, which has been discussed for years, is what happens if a super GM cheats. If you're 1,300 and you're playing like a 2,800, then you're cheating. if you're 2750 and you're playing like a 2850, I mean, you might be cheating, but we can't say it. I mean, it's already good. So obviously, when Hans was 19, which is now, I think, he's better than when he was 16. When I was 19, I was better than when I was 16. That's everybody. Everybody who's a grandmaster is better at 19 except 16. And there's an exception to that, and that's a guy who I think is cheating. And I can't say who it is. There's an American GM who's not better at 19 than 16. And I know why. But anyway, that's my personal, I got my own stuff. I think Magnus has handled it very badly, but I do think Magnus thinks Hans cheated against him. I just don't think he's right. And I think by taking all this peripheral evidence and adding it up, you're just saying where there's smoke, there's fire. And maybe there is. Maybe Magnus is right. Maybe everything Magnus said was right. But I don't like the way he dealt with it. Withdrawing from the tournament, playing one move, then resigning. Saying like, you were coached by Dlugy and Dlugy's a cheater, therefore you're a cheater. That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I mean, Magnus isn't trolling. Magnus thinks Hans is cheating. And Magnus won't have any part of it. And I don't like the way he's dealt with it, but that he's not being disingenuous. He's telling it like it is, although he might be wrong. Thanks, D-Punk, for the 1,000 centidues. Let me get back to who I missed because I was yelling a lot. Amazing Lines resubscribed. Chess Dojo Live rated me. Hope they got a shout out. On Board, subscribe with Prime. Cute name. Ardzex is subscribed. And D-Punk 4 gave 1,000 bits. Okay, thanks to all those guys. But like the news, the Dlugy news today wasn't news to me. That Dlugy's cheated on chess.com and was kicked off. I already knew that. In fact, that wasn't like I knew it because I know secret stuff. That's just known. The thing that wasn't known was Dlugy admitted it. And I have no comment about whether I knew that or not. I have no comment. Also, if I did know it, I probably forgot. But I don't need a confession when chess.com kicks somebody out. I don't. When chess.com kicks out a grandmaster, they don't want to kick out a grandmaster. They don't want to. They don't want to do that. So when they do, that's because the guy cheated. So if the guy admits it later, that's not news to me. That's just, chess.com was right and I knew they were right. Yeah. So instead of these nonsense videos made by Hikaru and Naroditsky and Kurilla and Caruana, which are not scientific evidence, they're just fun to watch. I like watching them too. I enjoy watching that. I like to analyze. It's like a free chess lesson. I'm analyzing games with good players, and the engine and Hikaru are commentating. That's like a free chess lesson. I like that. But if you're like, Hikaru looked at the game, and he thought a couple of moves were suspicious, and I believe Hikaru, therefore Hans cheated. No. That's not how it's done. And a lot of people think this. Thanks, Craft Single Square. A lot of people think player A beat Hikaru in Title Tuesday. Hikaru complained to Danny Wrench. Danny Wrench banned the guy. No, that's not what's happening. Chess.com doesn't care when GMs complain. They have a system they use, and they decide whether you cheated or not because Hikaru said you cheated. That's not what's going on. Hikaru doesn't know if you cheated. Hikaru can suspect you cheated. Magnus Carlsen can suspect you cheated, but they don't know. They just have a funny feeling. Okay? Chess.com, when they kick you off for cheating, they're ready to go to court. Right? They're not just like, well, we want to appease Hikaru, let's kick the guy off. They don't do that. And I'm not a Danny Wrench fan, and I'm not a Hans Niemann fan, but when they're right, they're right. I'm really not a fan of anybody. I like Magnus. Magnus is a good guy. He's just wrong here. And also, I never know if Hikaru believes what he's saying or he's trying to get views. I think he believes what he's saying. I just don't know. I know that I'm like 2,600 at taking advantage of the drama, but Hikaru's 3,000. I can't compete with Hikaru at taking advantage of this drama. I can't. I mean, he's on it. When Dlugy emails come out, Hikaru's already made a video about it. I don't know how he does it. Hikaru's on the motherfucker. And Gotham Chess has been having trouble the last day or two with this computer. He says, I can't stream, I can't go to YouTube, my computer's not working, and he's complaining. He doesn't know if it's his computer or there's an internet issue or, AWS isn't working, and he's choking on his own rage. While he's doing that, Hikaru's putting out the content. God damn, the content that you need. So the big picture is, it would be nice if there was no cheating at the top level, but it's very hard to catch. It's very hard to catch. Okay, let's say Magnus starts cheating now. Is he ever going to be caught? No. Magnus could be cheating all day now. He's not going to, but if Magnus is like, fuck everybody, I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to be number 1 10 more years, are we going to catch him? No. Everybody's going to say, man, Magnus is still good. Look at that Magnus. He's been number 1 for 12 years in a row. He's been number 1 for 15 years in a row. He's been number 1 20 years in a row. We'll just think he's a genius. So when the top players cheat, it's hard to catch them. It's hard because they're playing well. They're supposed to play well. And if they lose the game, you don't suspect them of cheating. You suspect them of cheating when they win. And so if you're only going to look at games that Hans has won or Magnus has won or Hikaru's won, those are going to be good games. Magnus isn't winning because he played badly. Magnus played like a genius against Nipponishi the first round of the Sinkfield Cup. I mean, Magnus played an amazing game. Just great. And everybody's like, well, he's Magnus. Of course he played an amazing game. But if Hans played the same game, they would be like, well, Hans is no good. He can't play that well. Rawr, I'm mad. Donkey Kong. It's very hard to catch cheaters, especially at that level. And so having the gawking rabble making videos saying, my Stockfish 14 says he cheated, that's not how it's done. It's too bad that Naroditsky doesn't know that. And also, Naroditsky doesn't know something else. Naroditsky was claiming that in his best games ever, he played worse than like Hans generally plays. And those aren't his best games. Those are his most memorable games. Your best games are boring. Your best games are you played really well and you won. And nothing much happened. Your most interesting games are you sacrificed a queen for a rook and a big attack, and then your opponent made a little mistake, then you sacked a knight, then you had the greatest mate of all time. Those are what you think are your best games, but those aren't the engine best games. Those are just the most memorable games. Okay, so he was showing a game where he sacked 2 exchanges and he won, and he was explaining how he made some inaccuracies. If I played my best game ever and I made inaccuracies, how come Hans doesn't? Those aren't his best games ever. Those are the ones he remembers because they had exchange sacrifices and maybe he beat somebody high rated. That's, yeah. Your best games are when you played your best, and generally they're not too exciting. I mean, if they're exciting, that means somebody's playing bad. If they're exciting. And a lot of the Hans games they were showing were both sides made mistakes. And that's why the games are interesting, because both sides make mistakes. When both sides make no mistakes, the game's not very interesting. But anyway, that's not how you find a cheater, by looking at their 3 best games they ever play and then saying they cheated. Otherwise, everybody's a cheater. And you don't find cheaters by saying they cheated online, because then everybody's a cheater. I mean, Hans either cheated in the Sinkfield Cup or he didn't. And most GMs think he did not cheat in the Sinkfield Cup. And most GMs think he cheated, previously. And what's weird about this is less than 2 weeks before the Sinkfield Cup, Magnus and Hans were like that, son. They were like on a date on the beach, playing on the beach. Hans lost every match. Now, if Hans was cheating all the time, okay, pay attention. If Hans was always cheating, why did he lose every single match in Miami? Did he decide, I'm going to cheat here, but in Miami, I won't cheat and I'll lose every single match. Is that what you think? Really? He cheats when he wins. When he doesn't win, he didn't cheat. That's everybody. I mean, everybody plays great when they win. They play terrible when they lose. So I don't know what happened between Miami and the Sinkfield Cup, because Nepo and Magnus were like worried that Hans was playing in the Sinkfield Cup, but it seemed like nobody was worried he was playing in Miami. And they all beat him. 9 matches, Hans lost all 9 matches. And nobody said shit. So I don't understand what happened in the 10 days between Miami and Sinkfield Cup, where all of a sudden every super GM is worried Hans is a cheater. Because he cheated online, that's just well known. That's not news. That everybody knew that. Dlugy cheated online, everybody knew that. So there's no new news. There's just Magnus behaving strangely and people giving Magnus the benefit of the doubt because he's Magnus. I also give him the benefit of the doubt. If it was anybody else, I would just say they're insane. If it was like Mamedyarov, and it was just, he did everything Magnus did, we would all be like, Mamedyarov, you got to chill the fuck out. You can't be saying Hans is a cheater because he beat you. You can't play one move and resign. And what is all this? What are you talking about? But it's Magnus, and we're like, damn, Magnus, world champion for 10 years, greatest player ever, highest rated player ever. If he thinks Hans cheated, okay. But Magnus hasn't handled it well, and it's possible that Hans did cheat. It's possible anybody's cheating. It's possible the top 30 players in the world, half of them cheat half the time. I don't know. If a 2750 plays like God one game, nobody's going to say he cheated. They're going to say, look at that game Wei Yi played. That was great. They're not going to say he cheated. I mean, the guys are good. Guys play good. If you want to catch a cheater, you have to use advanced statistical methods and share information and have some real analysis, not this, I'm going to boot up my Stockfish 12 on my laptop because that's what they had 2 years ago, and we're going to compare those moves to Hans's moves, and most of them are the same. I guess he cheated. And it does a disservice to catching cheaters when you have random people trying to catch cheaters that don't understand statistics, don't understand how to catch cheaters, and just look at random individual games and make pronouncements. And then you guys believe them. If Danny Wrench said, Chess.com team has analyzed all of Hans's games in the last 2 years in real life, and we're 100% sure he cheated, that would carry a lot of weight with me. They didn't say that. But if some random person I never heard of says, oh, Hans plays 100% every game, he's cheating. You guys are just like, that person I never heard of says that Hans played 100% every game, so he's cheating. That's why none of you have PhDs, because you don't have any logic at all to you. You just like believe nonsense on the internet. You believe nonsense videos. Do you know how many people have sent me links to these nonsense videos on my Twitter? They're like, have you seen this video? Terrible. And, you know, as a super grandmaster, not me, but, you know, Magnus, as a super grandmaster, they believe in logic and the truth. That's why they're super grandmasters. They don't sacrifice a rook and hope that they have mate. When Magnus sacrifices a rook, you believe him. You believe he calculated it and he understood it. You believe him. When you're 1100 and you sack a rook, you don't believe it. You're like, that guy can't calculate. The guy has no feel. It's a random rook sacrifice. When Magnus does it, it's based on logic and calculation and truth. So that's what we need when we find cheaters. Not like, that guy wasn't nervous at the right moments. This is an emotional response for Magnus because Magnus suspects that Hans did more cheating than he said, which I agree with. And if I was playing Hans and I suspected he was a cheater, I would also feel like Magnus. But I'm not the one who should decide he was cheating. The ones to decide he was cheating should be the arbiters, The organizers, the sponsors, and FIDE. And if the sponsor says, I don't want that guy in the tournament, I'm not going to sponsor the tournament because I don't feel right about that guy, then you can decide as the organizer whether you want that sponsor or not. If the organizer says, we don't want that publicity in our tournament, we're not inviting him, that's the organizer's prerogative. If the arbiter says, I'm the arbiter, I got your arbiter right here, you're a cheater, you're out, then that's the arbiter. If FIDE says, we've investigated, we've talked to a lot of super GMs, we talked to computer experts, we talked to cheat detection teams, you're out, Hans, then that's what they decided. But unfortunately, in this situation, Magnus decided Hans was a cheater. And that's not Magnus's job. Magnus can believe Hans is cheating, but it's not his job to say, you're a cheater, you're out. That's not his job. And that's what's happening. He said, here's why I think he cheated. Oh, I have more stuff to tell you, but I can't tell you. This should all be done behind closed doors, and the proper authorities can decide, okay, we're not inviting this guy to our tournament, or FIDE says you're in trouble, rawr, we're FIDE, or the U.S. Chess Federation says, rawr, you're in trouble, not Magnus. And if Magnus thinks Hans is cheated, he should tell the authorities. And he's being a vigilante. And people believe Magnus, because Magnus is pretty believable, and Hans is not believable, just from knowing them my whole life. Now, the other thing which I've talked about on my stream many, many, many times is everybody knows everybody and you don't know them. I know Hans. I know Magnus. Magnus knows me. Magnus knows Hans. Let's see, who else? There's somebody knows somebody else. Everybody knows everybody in real life. We've already formed our opinions of these people. Okay? And my opinion of these people is if Magnus said Hans cheated, then Hans cheated. That's my opinion without knowing any facts. However, when you learn the facts, you just think that Magnus is being really emotional about it, and he shouldn't be the one deciding, like, he shouldn't be the decider. The decider should be whatever authority is in charge. And the authorities in charge have said nothing. The arbiter said, we have no evidence. The organizers are like, let's get him back to St. Louis in the U.S. Championship. FIDE didn't say anything. And Magnus should be complaining to these people. Magnus shouldn't be complaining on the internet and ruining this guy's life because he thinks the guy cheated. I'm not saying the guy didn't cheat. I'm just saying Magnus isn't the decider. And you guys are like, Magnus is Magnus. He's my guy. Whatever he says goes. It's like, it's like Trump. Okay, Trump's still the president, I guess. I don't know. Ridiculous. So here's my feelings, my personal feelings. Did Hans cheat more online than he said he did? Yes. I don't have proof of that, but yes. Did Hans cheat over the board in the last 3 years? Probably. Did Hans cheat in the Singfield Cup? No. Now, I could be wrong about everything I said, but those are my personal opinions. And if it was anybody else but Magnus acting like Magnus, they would be in trouble now. But Magnus he's got a lot of Magnus on him. He's got a lot of clout. He has a good reputation of saying the truth and saying what he believes is right. So Magnus has a lot of street cred. But if it was some other super GM and making the same stink that Magnus is, they would have to get a lot of backing up. Imagine if Mamedyarov, pay attention, if Mamedyarov said Hans is cheating, okay? And then Magnus was being interviewed and said, Magnus, Mamedyarov said Hans is cheating. What do you think? And Magnus says, I don't see any evidence of that. Well, then Mamedyarov's fucked, right? You guys are like, Magnus didn't think he was cheating. The arbiters didn't say anything. What the fuck is wrong with Mamedyarov? That's what you would be saying now. But since it's Magnus, he's above reproach, so we have to believe him. And, I did my own analysis. I have my own feelings about it. I'm not a Hans fan as a person. I'm a bigger Magnus fan. And I don't think he cheated in the Singfield Cup. And I think his other cheating doesn't matter in this instance. I think if Hans cheated online and then didn't cheat in the Singfield Cup and Magnus played him and withdrew after losing, that's not right. The only thing that makes it right is if Hans was cheating in the Singfield Cup. And also, I still don't think it's right. But then Magnus hasn't said anything wrong. He's right. But you shouldn't withdraw from the tournament. You just shouldn't play in the first place if you have these feelings. And by the way, the reason Magnus didn't play well against Hans compared to the way he usually plays, like he played against Nepomniachtchi in the first round, is because he felt Hans was a cheater, and that affected his play. He didn't play as well. That wasn't Magnus's best game. Man, round 1 was his best game. God damn. Played great against Nepomniachtchi. And so forth. How can you cheat an OTB? You can do it. It's a lot easier to cheat over the board when it's some random tournament, not the Sinkfield Cup. Sinkfield Cup has international arbiters. They have cheat detection. They talk to Ken Regan every day. All the games are live. They have videos on the players. You know if you get caught, you're finished. It's a lot easier to go to your chess club and cheat than to go to the bathroom and look at your cell phone. That's easy to do. It's hard to cheat in the Sinkfield Cup. And it's very risky. If you're caught red-handed, you're done, son. You're done. If you get caught cheating on chess.com, then they shake their finger at you and say, don't do it again. Then they give you another account. So cheating on chess.com and cheating in the Sinkfield Cup is two different things. As I said on the previous stream, it's not even the same fucking sport. One's the holiest of holies and one's a foot massage. So I'm not the only one that makes sense, etc. No, I think for the most part, the super GMs don't think Hans cheated in the Sinkfield Cup, but they think like I do that he's cheated before. Majority attack subscribed. Thank you. Let me, of course, tomorrow Hans will confess he's been cheating his whole life. He cheated in Sinkfield Cup. Majority attack subscribed. Big Daddy gave 1 bit. Thanks, Big Daddy. The Eradicator gave 100 bits for the Queen of England. Appleside gave 300 bits. Xenoid gave 400 bits. Kingler Gaming gifted a sub. Thank you. Craft Single Square gave 102 bits. Triple Digit for Life is getting close to 4 digits. And he subscribed. Kez's daddy subscribed. Appleside gave 200 bits, etc. ePorto76 gifted a sub. Church Grim subscribed. And other stuff happened. I don't know what this stuff was. Enzian Hero, 200 centidues. Magnus isn't lying. Magnus, I have a lot of respect for Magnus. Magnus plays good chess. And when Magnus says stuff, it's not shit. Magnus says stuff because he believes that's what's going on. So Magnus gets a lot of credit. And that's why people who are fans of Magnus, they'll hang on to any evidence showing that Magnus is right, even though it's not really evidence. You know, he didn't feel tense at the tense moments. What? Yeah. So, I mean, Magnus isn't helping his case, but it could be that he's right and Hans is just always cheating. It could be he's right, but there's no evidence of that. There's only evidence of a little cheating, not a lot of cheating. Ryan's dad subscribed. Etc. It's not the greatest example, but yeah, it's very similar to Trump. Okay, so Trump says something that's false, and then his believers, the MAGAs, they're like, that's true because Trump said it. It's not true because somebody says it. Now, I will give Trump this. If he thinks that it's true, if he says it, I don't know. But if he thinks it, then it's true. And if Magnus says something, it doesn't make it true. Okay, even if you're a Magnus fan, it doesn't make it true. If he says, I feel Hans is cheating more than he says he's cheated, Hans is a cheater, I mean, maybe. It's not untrue, but it might be untrue. It doesn't make it false that Magnus said it, but it doesn't make it true either. And the evidence that people come out with, these random videos where they're analyzing the games, that's not trustworthy at all. So when like Hikaru and Caruana and Naroditsky have a stream and they look at Neiman's games and they say this move is suspicious, I don't know about that move, 100%, that's all just like fun. That's not science. But you guys believe it because you guys believe in the super GMs. You believe them. If Hikaru says, I think player A cheated, and chess.com says, our cheat detection system says he did not cheat, guess who I'm going to believe? Exactly. And it's very emotional for a lot of these GMs. I retired. I'm not going to play Hans. And if Hans cheats or doesn't cheat, he's going to beat me. So I don't care. But if you're Magnus and you feel I'm going to beat Hans unless Hans cheats. And so I don't want to play Hans because he might cheat. That's very understandable. So it's understandable that Magnus said Hans was a cheater. He may still be a cheater. He hangs out with cheaters. I don't want to play him. That may all be true. But it doesn't mean that he cheated in the Singfield Cup. Well, I don't think he did. And there's no evidence that he did. There's evidence he cheated before in online tournaments. But that's like half the GMs. Etc. I'm not a statistician, Ryan's dad, but that's not a good way to decide if somebody's cheating. You could look at anybody's games and they match engine moves. That's not how it's done. Chess.com spends millions of dollars on cheating detection. They don't just boot up Stockfish 17 with 88 cores and say that guy's cheating. That's not what they're doing. It's very rigorous statistical methods. It's not simple. It's not like, okay, here's Joe Schmo. He's booting up Stockfish. That move matches. That move matches. That move is the second move. He's cheating. That's not how it's done. That's just for the gawking rabble. That's not how you find somebody cheating. The way to find somebody who's cheating is complicated. And the methods aren't given out because then people could cheat better. If chess.com says, hey, cheaters, this is how we know you cheated. Here's all our methods. Then the cheaters are like, oh, okay, so I'll do this and avoid those methods. Yet people that have spent years on this, who have advanced degrees in statistics and mathematics, and who are good at chess, understand chess engines, understand performance, they're not, and it's a team of people. It's many people. It's rigorous study. It's not a GM booting his computer up at 3:30 a.m. and comparing move by move games that were played 3 years ago. That's not right. And the thing is, since you guys are the gawking rabble, that's all you know. You know, you watch TV or you watch on Twitter, you're on Facebook, and the only evidence you know is nonsense. You don't understand rigorous evidence which actually shows the truth. You don't like that. You're like, I'm a Trump fan. Trump said that. That's true. The engines are better than humans. The engine said that's the best move. He played the best move. He's cheating. That's not how you do it. And it's amazing that the super GMs don't know that either. That they're just like booting up their computers. Now they're doing it for views. It's interesting to look at. It's fun. But it's not evidence. It's nothing. And people who are in the cheat detecting business know that. They know that these things are silly that they're doing. It has nothing to do with evidence and proof. It's just fun to look at the games. And obviously, if you cherry pick the best game somebody's played, they're going to play pretty well. And if you want, we could, I mean, I'm not going to do it, but if you want, you can do it. Look at Hans's 200 last slow games and pick his worst games. And then you'll be like, how's this guy a grandmaster? That guy sucks. Because if you look at somebody's worst games, they suck. If you look at their best games, they're pretty good. And if Hans is 2680 FIDE, he's pretty good. So he's going to play well. And the games that he's played have led him to his rating. That's his rating. Hans doesn't play as well as Magnus. Magnus is almost 200 points higher rated. Hans isn't as good as Magnus. Doesn't mean Hans can't beat Magnus. It means if they play a match, I'm betting a lot of money on Magnus. A lot of money. And Karen will back me up. But the evidence that's being shown isn't evidence. It's the confirmation bias that I want Magnus to be right. And that guy said Magnus is right. So there you go. That's not how things are done. I mean, that's how you guys do things. And that's why a lot of people are bad at chess. Is they don't understand logic and how to get to the truth. They just want to do like some fast runaround. I've had a lot of students over the years say, can you tell me some chess secrets so I'm good? They don't want to do any work. They don't want to do any study. They don't want to analyze. They want me to say 4 or 5 sentences and they're good at chess. And that's what you guys want. You want a 10-minute analysis session from Naroditsky and Nakamura, and then whatever they say, you're going to believe it. That's not how it's done. Sorry. The world is more complicated than that. You can't look at somebody's best games and then tell me they cheated because they won. That's not evidence. Sorry. Yeah, anyway, anybody who understands these issues, who has delved into them, who's on cheat detecting teams, they know that these videos that are coming out where a random person's using a random engine and then making pronouncements that are not necessarily true, that doesn't mean anything. It means something to you guys because you guys want to believe either Hans cheated or he didn't. Some of you are like, there's no evidence Hans cheated, Magnus, rar, and some of you are like, Magnus is a great guy, Magnus is the greatest player ever, Hans is nobody, Hans cheated. And then that's the way you guys go through life. Is you take shortcuts. You do a half-assed job like on The Simpsons. Proving something's very complicated. And so if you think at 3:30 in the morning, somebody doing a cursory analysis of one game played 2.5 years ago convinces you, sorry. And basically you should all be ashamed of yourselves. Now, having said all of that there's no evidence Hans cheated in the Sinkfield Cup, it doesn't mean he didn't. Could have cheated. There's just no evidence that he did. It could be that anybody cheated in the Sinkfield Cup, but nobody's accusing anybody else. I just find it very unlikely. If you tell me somebody cheated in the World Open, I give you the thumbs up. If you tell me 10 guys cheated in the World Open, I give you the thumbs up. If you told me 40 guys cheated in the World Open, I give you the thumbs up. That is correct. Okay, people are cheating in the World Open and they're not getting caught. But if you tell me a 2,700 FIDE is cheating in the Sinkfield Cup, you better be Magnus Carlsen and back that shit up. Oh wait, he's Magnus Carlsen. Yeah, but he didn't back it up. These are different accusations. Cheating in Title Tuesday and cheating in the Sinkfield Cup against Magnus Carlsen when the whole world is watching. God damn. I mean, I don't think Hans's balls are that big. I mean, cheating against Magnus Carlsen when the whole world is watching your game, that's balls. Nobody has those balls. It could be anal beads, but it's not balls. By the way, if I was cheating all the time, okay, let's assume Hans just always cheats. Okay, and the reason Hans is 2680 is he cheated for years. Let's assume. Okay, it's possible. Then I get invited to the Sinkfield Cup. Guess what? I'm not going to cheat there. If I cheated my whole life and got my rating up and got invited to a tournament with the best players in the world where everybody's watching, I'm not going to cheat at that tournament. You know where I am going to cheat? I'm going to cheat at the Miami Crypto Nonsense Tournament. That's where I'm going to cheat. I'm not going to lose all 9 of my matches. You see what I'm saying? No? You're saying in a random tournament that didn't matter, he didn't cheat at all and lost all his matches. Then an important tournament everybody's watching, that everybody cares about, now he's going to cheat. That doesn't add up. But yeah, the Dlugy stuff, I already knew Dlugy was a cheater from chess.com. That's well known. hey, maybe those anal beads are for something else. You can't prove they're for chess. It could be that's just how he rolls. You can't prove nothing. Yeah, Chess Ninja's anal beads aren't working. Terrible. Anyway, there's been a big discussion about whether this bad publicity is good or bad for chess. And my opinion is different than most people. I think it's good for chess. I think publicity is good and people are talking about chess and people are interested in chess. And you might say they're interested in nonsense. They're interested in cheating, anal beads. I don't care as long as there's more chess stuff. We want people to be interested in chess. So when there's bad publicity in the NFL, people talk about the NFL. That guy got arrested. That guy got arrested. That guy, he said words he shouldn't have said. That guy broke his leg. He can't play all year. That's what they talk about, right? That they don't talk about the games. They talk about nonsense, right? They're like, that guy got traded. That guy wiped his Instagram. That's what they talk about. They talk about the nonsense. So chess, obviously I like when they talk about chess, but if they talk about nonsense, that's good too. It's chess. They're talking about it. We need people to talk about chess. We need people to watch chess streams. We need people to be interested in the tournaments. And if it's for the wrong reason, then it's for the wrong reason. What are you going to do? It gets people interested in chess that maybe they start to like it. I mean, the only thing I learned from Queen's Gambit was that she did a lot of drugs. That she was doing a lot of drugs. A lot of drugs. Hans has the power of mind control. Maybe. Maybe he's like Hypnotoad. That orphanage had fire drugs. That's right. Well, it's good for my channel and my YouTube channel and my Twitter if more statements come out. If Dlugy makes a statement, $9.99. Thanks for the vegan steak with Bernays. If as soon as anybody puts out a statement and people talk about it, that's more views. So Tarjay today said that Max is threatening lawsuit by connecting him with Hans, and Hans is cheating. I don't know. It's all ridiculous. Can we get one quick story about Tal? I don't know much about Tal. I've only seen Tal a few times. The saga continues. But the thing is, a lot of the nonsense on the internet is just automatically believed by a large group of people. And that's not good. And if the chess detection cheating systems of these online sites say, this guy's getting kicked off our site, he's definitely cheating, I hold that to, there's a lot of credence in that. When a person I've never heard of puts out a 40-minute YouTube video and makes pronouncements, and then you guys are all over that. You're like, oh, that's it. I mean, what if that person who made that video put out a 40-minute video and said Trump won the election? Well, Trump won the election. Look, there's a YouTube video that's 40 minutes long. That's proof. And that's good enough for a lot of you. That's too bad. So anyway, you should all be ashamed of yourselves. And having said that, maybe Hans cheated. I don't know. But there's evidence persuading me that he did in the Sinkfield Cup. There's a lot of evidence persuading me online, when he was younger. There's evidence of that. Now, more importantly, hey Siri, how are the Braves doing?
The Braves are
no, they're down 2-1.
2-1.
I mean, Houston's cheating, and they're always winning the division. So I don't know. Do you guys think Houston's cheating now because they cheated 4 or 5 years ago? Yeah, maybe. Go Houston. It's funny, Houston was cheating, and they were winning the division and going to the World Series and so forth. And now, supposedly, they're not cheating, and they're still winning the division. So I guess they're still cheating because that's the way you guys look at it. Altuve using beads. Ben is delusional, Naroditsky. I don't think he said that, but yeah. What Naroditsky did was fun, analyzing the games, but it's not evidence. It's nothing. But he thinks it is. He's like, whoa, Hans played that move. I wouldn't play that move. And the engine says it's the best. To him, that's evidence. It's nothing. But the engine, he played better that game than I've ever played, so therefore he's cheating. I mean, he went to Stanford, but I guess, he must have majored in history or something. It's a joke because he majored in history. He doesn't have several 100%. That's something you saw on the internet that you believed. It's not true. You're just copying things from the internet that aren't true and saying they're true. That's not what happened. And playing at 100% is meaningless. It has nothing to do with how they catch cheaters. So you're just saying stuff that's not true, and if it is true, it doesn't matter. His ratings are his ratings. He's rated 2680 FIDE because over the last years he's played 2680 FIDE. If he was playing 2800, his rating would be 2800. The last 2 years, Magnus has played better than Hans. Magnus is way higher rated than Hans. There's 2-3 dozen people who are way higher rated than Hans. They didn't cheat. They're just higher rated than Hans. They're better than him. Abraham Lincoln did say Hans cheated. Yeah, but this 100% stuff, it's all nonsense. None of it's true. And if it was true, it wouldn't matter because that's not how you catch cheat. That's not cheat detection. Saying, look at this game 2.5 years ago. I actually don't care about that. It's possible Hans has cheated. What I'm talking about is Hans's game in the Sinkfield Cup against Magnus. That's why Magnus withdrew. If Magnus won that game, he wouldn't have withdrawn. Magnus withdrew because he lost to Hans. And saying Hans cheated 2.5 years ago, Hans cheated on chess.com, that's not related to Magnus's game with Hans at the Sinkfield Cup. There's nothing to do with it. If Magnus thought Hans was a cheater, then Magnus didn't have to play in the Sinkfield Cup. So obviously, he made his decision after losing to Hans. So he thinks Hans cheated in the Sinkfield Cup. I don't think Hans cheated in the Sinkfield Cup. I don't think there's any evidence of that. The evidence that's provided, which is fake evidence, is he cheated 2 years ago and 3 years ago, which is not evidence of cheating at the Sinkfield Cup. And that evidence is debunked. But you guys just keep saying 100%, 100%, enter, 100%, enter, 100%, enter. It's meaningless. But it's hard to talk to the gawking rabble. "100% enter, 100%. Good going, Raj. Anyway, you can believe what you want, and it's possible Hans has been cheating for years. It's also possible he hasn't. But there's no evidence at all that he cheated against Magnus in the Sinkfield Cup. And that's the game that I'm interested in. Because that's why Magnus withdrew. Have I played Hans? I played Hans a game at the World Youth when I was a coach and he was one of the kids. We played without a clock, like for fun. And then he got up and left the game because he was losing. That was like 7 or 8 years ago. And I think he was better than me then. I think he had a really good position too. And then he messed it up. But we never played an actual, a real game. Now, the leaking thing is weird. The only way it makes sense to me is if Dlugy gave permission to have the email sent to Vice. And that doesn't make sense to me either. Like, why would Dlugy give permission for that? So I don't know. That's going to be more chess drama, is that. Like, how can private emails that are confidential, how can they be sent to Vice? So either chess.com didn't think they were confidential, or Dlugy gave permission. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. It's surprising. Yeah, no, Naka said, "Hit one, you little bitch," and then Magnus put that in his finger notes. Nakamura says, "Hit one, you little bitch." I think he was Smallville then. That was funny. The important thing is, nowadays, if you want to have a chess club or a chess site or talk about chess on Twitter, make sure you speak to your attorneys first. Let's see, who am I raiding? I raid you, you raid me. I can't raid Canty every single stream, or can I? Go Spencer. Everybody's timed out. Karen comes back Friday night. She posted pictures of where she is on Twitter. Good job, Ryan's dad. Also, based on what Triple Digit just said, a lot of people are confusing the cap score that chess.com gives you with the 100% engine score that ChessBase gives you. Those are two different things. So playing 100% engine, which is not what happened, but it's people keep typing 100% enter, that's different than playing 100% cap score. The cap score that chess.com gives you is just for fun, but you guys take it very seriously. The chess-based one, nobody knows how that's done. There's a billion engines. Every engine you could play with a different number of cores. There's a different amount of time taken for every move. So you can't just say a move is an engine move. That doesn't make any sense. That's why it's hard to figure out what's going on. You can't just boot up Stockfish 12 and say, let's have it look 5 seconds a move and see if he cheated. Again, it's fun to do, but it's not evidence. It's just, fun to do. To you guys, it's evidence, because you guys, you hear 100%, you hear engine, you hear Nakamura, you hear Naroditsky, and you just think, okay, whatever they said. Yeah, and they're not the scienticians. Yeah. Anyway, you guys don't know anything, and you act like you do because you heard somebody else who doesn't know anything say it. If you're like Ben Feingold said this, therefore it's true, then you're part of the problem. And don't do your own research, because your research is no good. Don't do it. And don't believe GMs who at 3 a.m. turn on their engines and make pronouncements. Don't believe them either. Unless they're me, then okay, maybe. 2 a.m, etc. All right, it's time for the big boy raid. Thanks for watching, guys. Go Chess Drama.